माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय श्री प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रिय चैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada Paramahamsa Parivajakacarya Stotra Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BPT Phanacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Guru Vrind Ki Jai Shri Guru Parampara Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai Nitai Go Premanande Hare Krishna Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Jana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guruna Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyadeshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3 Chapter 2 Remembrance of Lord Krishna, text number 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Yasya Anuraga Pluta Hasha Rasa Leela Avaloka Pratilabdha Manaha Vrajastriya Drigbhi Anupravritta Dhiya Avatasu Kila Kritya Sheshaha Yasyanuraga Plutaha Sharasha Yasyanuraga Plutaha Sharasha Leela Valoka Pratilabdhamanaha Leela Valoka Pratilabdhamanaha Vrajastriyo Drigbhe Anupravitta Vrajastriya Drigbhe Anupravritta Dhiyo Vatasto Kila Kritya Sheshaha Dhiyo Vatastu Kila Kritya Sheshaha Yasyanuraga Plutaha Sharasha Leela Valoka Pratilabdhamanaha Vrajastriyo Drigbhirano Pravritta Dhiyo Vatastu Kila Kritya Sheshaha Yasyanuraga Plutaha Sharasha लीलावलोका प्रतिलब्धमानः व्रजस्त्रियो दृग्भिरनुप्रवृत्ता धियो वतस्तु किल कृत्यशेषः. Read please. यस्यानुरागः प्लुतः शराशः लीलावलोका प्रतिलब्धमानः व्रजस्त्रियो दृग्भिरनुप्रवृत्ता धियो वतस्तु किल कृत्यशेषः. यस्यानुरागः प्लुतः शराशः प्रतिलब्धमानः व्रजस्त्रियो दृग्भिरनुप्रवृत्ता Ladies. Yasyanuraga plutaha sharasha Leela-valoka pratilabdhamana Vraja-striyo dhrigviranupravritta Diyo vatastu kila kritya sesha. Yasyanuraga plutaha sharasa Leela-valoka pratilabdhamana Vraja-striyo dhrigviranupravritta Diyo vatastu kila kritya sesha. Yasya, whose anuraga, attachment, pluta, enhanced by, hasha, laughter, rasha, humors, leela, pastimes, avaloka, glancing, pratilabdha, obtained thereof, manaha, anguished, vrajastriya, damsels of Vraja, drigbhi, with the eyes, anupravritta, following, dhiyaha, by intelligence, avastatu, set silently, kila, indeed, kritya sheshaha, without finishing household duties. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The damsels of Vraja, after pastimes of laughter, humor, and exchanges of glances, were anguished when Krishna left them. They used to follow him with their eyes, and thus they sat down with stunned intelligence and could not finish their household duties. Purport. In his boyhood at Vrindavan, Lord Krishna was notorious as a teasing friend in transcendental love to all the girls his age. His love for them was so intense that there is no comparison to that ecstasy, and the damsels of Vraja were so much attached to him that their affection excelled that of the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. Lord Krishna finally admitted his defeat before the transcendental affection of the gopis and declared that he was unable to repay them for their unalloyed affection. Although the gopis were seemingly anguished by the Lord's teasing behavior, when Krishna would leave them, they could not tolerate the separation and used to follow him with their eyes and minds. They were so stunned by the situation that they could not finish their household duties. No one could excel him even in the dealing of love exchange between boys and girls. It is said in the revealed scriptures that Lord Krishna personally never goes beyond the boundary of Vrindavan. He remains there eternally because of the transcendental love of the inhabitants. Thus, even though he is not visible at present, he is not away from Vrindavan for a moment. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shri Mate Mal Krishna Goswami Iti Namine. So, Hare Krishna. What is this verse about? The chapter is remembrance of Krishna. Remembrance of Krishna. How can you remember Krishna? How will you always remember and never forget? When you meditate on his pastimes. Very good, very good. You're getting there. Association of devotees, very good. Yes, Jambavan Prabhu. Don't copy Jaram Prabhu. I hope everyone knows Jambavan Prabhu. Jambavan Prabhu is native Fijian. He is initiated disciple of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So, he is one native Fijian who knows Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. So, it's a great, great. Srila Prabhupada said, in any country you preach, unless and until you make natives devotees, preaching is not successful. If we only preach to the Indians, we will only become an Indian temple. No discrimination against the Indians. But Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness. I heard a lecture of Srila Prabhupada that reminds me, we'll get into the subject matter. Srila Prabhupada said, I'll share, I think it's a reel. Srila Prabhupada is saying that we are not preaching religion. We are preaching science of God. Science of God. Science of God means we are preaching how to know who is God and how to connect with God and attain His abode. It is not for the Indians, it is not for the Fijians, it is not for the Chinese, not for the American. It is for everyone. It is for the soul. We are not teaching Sharir Dharma. We are not teaching body dharma. We are teaching the soul. So here this verse today is talking about remembrance of Krishna. You can only remember someone if you are deeply in love with someone. Unless until you are in love with someone, you won't remember. Everything else is, how do you fall in love with someone? You hear about someone. You keep a picture of someone. You keep meeting people and people keep telling you about that person. Then you fall in love. What is the greatest example of Prabhu said, association of devotees? That's also correct. What happens in the association of devotees? What happens in the association of devotees? Yes, you remember Krishna. But what is the practical activity that happens in the association of devotees? Machchita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamandita. Krishna is giving all the answers himself. Krishna is telling us that to attain Krishna consciousness, we have to go in the association of devotees. Krishna is guiding every step. When you're in the association of devotees, what do? Machchita madgata prana. You talk about Krishna. You talk about Krishna. We were taking Krishna Prasadam. I remember back in 1996, after my graduation, I went to India. Srila Gurudev took me to India and he put me in Chopati temple under the guidance of Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So Radhanath Swami Maharaj in Chopati, when all the devotees are taking breakfast or the devotees are taking lunch, of course no devotees is 2 times a day. Evening is just light snacks and milk. So, but whenever this is happening, all the devotees are taking prasadam, then every time one devotee has a turn to read Krishna book. Machchita madgata prana. Even while you are eating, you must talk about Krishna. You must talk about Krishna. So the devotee, I remember Srila Gurudev used to come to Fiji, Tamal Krishna Maharaj used to come to Fiji, then whilst he would be taking prasadam, even Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj used to come. While they are taking prasadam, all the devotees will be sitting all around, everyone is being served, but one devotee has to read. You read something, Krishna book, some book you read. So, Machchita Madgata Prana. So, when you are in the association of devotees, the discussion happens. And when you hear about someone, you gradually start falling in love with that person. Prema Pumarto Mahan. The highest goal of life is prema. The highest goal of life is prema. So, when you hear about... So, who heard about Krishna and fell in love? Rukmini. Yes. Rukmini never saw Krishna. She just heard about Krishna. Hearing how heroic a person he was. Rukmini thought, if any hero... all the girls are thinking, my husband is the most heroic person. And all the boys are thinking, my wife is the only Lakshmi. Once you get married, the Lakshmi comes home, she becomes Durga. So, when you are in love, and what are the memories in love? What are the memories in love? When you love someone, what are the memories? Your first meeting, okay. What else? Give gifts, exchange gifts. What else? Krishna is telling here. The verse is saying, what are the memories? What makes you fall in love? The damsels of Braja, right? The damsels of Braja. Who? The gopis. Now, then it says, that's how the English sentence is written. This is how the translation is written. After pastimes of laughter. What do you remember in love? The happy times. Happy times is what you remember. If you remember you had a fight with your wife, will you want to love her? No. Guru Seva says the first meeting, you don't remember the fights of the first meeting. You get married, you say, you said you will be like this, before marriage you were like this. It's all the happy moments. So when in Krishna consciousness, it's the happy moments. That is why Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says, what does Krishna say about Krishna consciousness? How should it be practiced? Susukham. Krishna consciousness is blissful. It's blissful. Because when it's blissful, then you remember. So it's the pastimes of laughter. And then pastimes of humor. Right? When devotees are together, it's humor, it's fun, it's the jokes. That's what you remember. When your friend goes away, that's what you remember. That's exactly what the gopis are doing. And exchanges of glances. All the youths here. So you remember, someone looked at you like this. The glances are very, very, that's why it's a love at first sight. It's the eyes that work. That's why Ambarish Maharaj says, the eyes must capture Krishna. So he says, there's a prayer. He says, if you don't want to give up your material desires and sense enjoyment, don't go to the bank of Yamuna and have a look at that black boy. Who's that black boy? Krishna. Once you go and see Krishna, then everything will be gone. So the exchanges of glances. And then what happened was, when Krishna left, when Krishna goes in Vrindavan, early in the morning, Krishna goes for herding the cows. Then there is, the gopis were anguished. Anguished मतलब जैसे व्याकुल हो जाए. कभी कभी रहे ना, किसी से प्रेम हो जाए, वो व्यक्ति मिले नहीं तो ऐसे पागलपन आने लगे. इसके देखे बिना हम लोग पगलाए लगता है. That's what's happening to the gopis. The gopis. That's what should happen to us as well. If you don't see Radha Golokabihari, हम लोग के मांगे पगलाए लगे. ऐसे नहीं हम लोग के देख के मांगे हम लोग पगलाए जाए. नहीं देखो तो मांगो पगलाए जाए. You must become very, very anguished. It's a feeling in the heart. You miss someone, you just can't control yourself, but go, let go. Sometimes what happens when you are in love with someone, even in the temple you sometimes see, two devotees, they're very loving devotees, they love one another, they see one another, they sometimes people might forget Krishna and they start, going for one another and they, oh Hare Krishna, where have you been? This is devotional exchange. This is what the prema in Krishna consciousness is. That's what we say is the highest goal of life. So very beautiful remembrance of the Lord Krishna will come from our loving exchanges. And how do we, then they said, they used to follow him with their eyes. When you are in love with someone, then you follow them. Where they going? Kisse baat kare? Then later on we can say, kaar se baat karta hai? So the eyes should follow Krishna. You should look for Krishna. And when your eyes can do this, then what will happen? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini. You can see Krishna in a Brahmana, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane, Gavi, cows, Hastini, elephant, dog. Matlab, Brahman is top class, dog is low class. तभी तो झगड़ा करा जाए तुम चंडाल है, मतलब तुम dog eater है, low class है. और Brahman is worshipable. So, once you are in love with Krishna, then you can see Krishna in everything. Your eyes will follow Krishna in everything. If the world can see Krishna in everything, would there be any problem in this world? That was the Christians are preaching. That heaven will descend on earth itself. How will it descend? It's not that, buildings and, all these things will descend and then it will become heaven. It's the enhancement or elevation of consciousness. That is why which book Prabhupada has written? Elevation in Krishna consciousness. So the elevation in consciousness will present the heaven to Krishna. Golok Vrindavan Dham will be right here. And then, thus they sat down with stunned intelligence. Intelligence के मतलब है the ability to discriminate what is right, what is wrong. But when one falls in love, तब पहुंचे. When you fall in love, then you're not bothered about मैया पप्पा के इज्जत दुनिया कौन सी बोले, इसे कोई चीज हम लोग परवाह ही नहीं करता है. सही बात है कि नहीं? अखिलेश बोले yes, we don't care about anything. तो stunned intelligence मतलब बुद्धि फिर फ्रीज हो जाए, बुद्धि फ्रीज हो जाए. Because you know no one, but Krishna is my Lord. Even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken hearted, but Krishna is my Lord unconditionally, no more conditions. With stunned intelligence that they could not even finish their household duties. So here we are talking about the gopis. When Krishna in the morning is going to herd the cows in the forest of Vrindavan, when all the cows are going, then you hear this sound. All the cows are walking. So as soon as the gopis, somebody is, making chapati, somebody is getting dressed or whatever, just put one kajal in one eye. When they hear this sound, everyone runs to the door, everyone opens the window and they go out of their house and they see Krishna. And, Krishna is going and they see Krishna. Krishna comes this way. You see Krishna eye to eye. And then eyes start following Krishna like that. And then Krishna goes to the forest of Vrindavan. And then they keep looking. And they keep looking until when? Until they see the dust in the forest. When they see the dust rising in the forest, they know the cows and Krishna is now coming back. So they forget all their houses. And that's why Krishna is saying, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vaja aham tuham sarva papepyo mokshashyami ma sucha. When you fall in love with Krishna, when you surrender to Krishna, you need not do anything and everything. Sarva dharman, you can leave everything. You can give up everything. And it is no fault. When you have everything and you are not in love with Krishna, that's the biggest fault. That's the biggest fault you have, the biggest defect you have. Perfection in everything material has no value. Because at the time of death, everything will become zero. So, Prabhupada basically describes, a very interesting Prabhupada said. He said, they were much attached to him and their affection excelled that of great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. What is Brahmaji doing? What is Brahmaji's service? Creation. Brahmaji's service is creation. You see how perfectly everything is done? How perfectly everything is done. Mango leaves all are same. Sometimes you can recognize trees just by the leaves. Right? That means so perfectly done. The gopis, Krishna consciousness, Krishna bhakti is this perfect. They are becoming comparable to, and they excel. Just like Brahmaji excel. Like I will say, okay, Mataji is, she's excelled in her studies. Maybe like Kustub, A+ or something like that. So you excel in whatever you do. The gopis, what are they excelling in? What is their excellence? They excel in love. The gopis are the highest example, the highest role model of love. What is the symptom of excelling in love? The symptom of excelling in love is remembrance of Krishna. You can always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Very simple. I say, lage bahut heavy philosophy, bahut PhD level rakam question hai. Bahut simple hai. Bhakti is a very simple thing. Krishna just wants what? Yo me bhaktya prayachati. Krishna wants. You can give him anything and everything. But it must be coated with, khali coated nahi mange na. It must be love from in and out. It's like that mango which has no skin, no gutli, no seed. Rasalayam. Everything is simply love. Everything is simply love. So, and Shiva does destruction. Destruction. Lord Shiva just dances and the whole world finishes. What a dance. तब ऐसे दुनिया में भी जब कोई बहुत प्रॉब्लम करे तो उसके बोला जाए तुम्हारा नाच से तो हमारा मन भर गया. क्या तो कोई प्रॉब्लम के तो बोला जाए इसके नाच देखना. Lord Shiva dances, annihilation happens. So he's a perfect dancer, not a Raj. He's a perfect dancer. So the gopis love has that kind of perfection. तब से प्रभुपाद जी बोले ना, कभी कभी आदमी सोचे ज्ञानी बड़ा है, ध्यानी बड़ा है, और भक्ति तो वो लोग करे जो अनपढ़ गंवार है, जिसके कुछ करे नहीं पावे, कोई करे समझे नहीं है तो भक्ति करे लगे. बट भक्ति इज द हाईएस्ट. एक्सेल, गोपीज आर एक्सेलिंग इन भक्ति. सो प्रभुपाद जी बोले कि when Krishna would leave them, they would not tolerate the separation and used to follow him with their eyes and minds. ये हम लोग के ऊपर अप्लाई हुए हैं. बोले जब कृष्णा चला जाए वो लोग नहीं सके टॉलरेट करें. हम लोग के दी अदर वे ना, कृष्णा कौन सा आज लाइफ में नहीं टॉलरेट, कहाँ फंस गया. कृष्णा जब चला जाए ये लोग टॉलरेट नहीं कर पाए. और उसके सोल्यूशन कौन सी करे लोगन? They used to follow him with their eyes and mind. इसके बोला जाए कृष्णमयी. This is what we can do. We fill our eyes with Krishna and we fill our mind with Krishna. This is the whole process. प्रभुपाद जी हमको यही दिया है. प्रभुपाद जी हम लोग को क्या दिया है? चैतन्य महाप्रभु हम लोग को क्या दिया है? चैतन्य महाप्रभु हम लोग के दिया है नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायते. क्या प्रदान किया है? कृष्ण प्रेम. और वो कृष्ण प्रेम कैसे मिलेगा? आईज और माइंड के कृष्णा से भर देना है. और आईज और माइंड के कैसे भर देना है? लुक एट राधा गौरबिहारी. ही लुक्स सो ब्यूटीफुल टुडे. Men are supposed to be handsome, but Krishna we say he is beautiful. The extent of beauty is sundarta is, we describe it as beautiful. It's exquisite beauty. Look at Krishna, with the yellow. Again, like, Krishna gets dressed, he looks beautiful every day. But, with yellow, pitambari, the yellow garland and everything, Krishna looks extremely, so yellow is his favorite color. So, the eyes are meant to drink the beauty of Krishna. जब हम लोग पिएगा तब तो नशा चढ़ी ना, तो आंखों से पियो. बॉलीवुड में गाना भी सब ये रिकॉर्ड है. तो आंखों से कृष्ण को पीना पड़ेगा. और जब माइंड में फिर नशा चढ़ जाएगा. दिस इज द अल्टीमेट. सो डेडिकेट ऑल योर एक्टिविटी टू कृष्णा एंड रिमेंबर कृष्णा ऑलवेज, नेवर फॉरगेट कृष्णा. सो तो यहाँ पे स्टेट ऑफ द गोपीज है. बोले दे हैव अरेस्टेड कृष्णा इन देयर हार्ट्स. तो जैसे हम लोग अभी 1 मंथ से ट्रेडिशन फॉलो करता है, 4 जुलाई के तमाल कृष्णा गोस्वामी महाराज की 80th बर्थडे है. सो वी वांट टू डेडिकेट एवरी क्लास दैट वी डू a bit of a portion to hear from Srila Gurudev. So today we'll hear a short lecture by Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He says, Krishna becomes arrested. जैसे किसी को बंदी बना लिया जाता है, तो डिवोटी भगवान के बंदी बना ले. They capture Krishna in their heart. So ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की. So please listen carefully the words of Srila Gurudev.
Kushalani, Kritani, Ya. Nanudeti Kalim Samra, Sarangaiva Saratu, Kushalani Ashutidyanti, Nekranani Krishaniya. Never Anudeti, envious, Kalim, under the personality of Kali, Samrat, the emperor, Sadangaha, realist like the beast. Eva, like Sadhu, one who accepts the substance. Kushalani, auspicious objects. Ashu, immediately. Siddhanti, become successful. Na, never. Itarani, which are auspicious. Kritani, being performed. Ya, as much as. Maharaj Krishna was a realist like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower. He knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effect. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali, purport by Srila Prabhupada. The age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this fallen age, because the living beings are in an awkward position, the Supreme Lord has given some special facilities to them. So by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of the sinful act until the act is actually performed. In other ages, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of the act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the results of pious acts simply by thinking of them. Maharaj Parikshit, being the most learned and experienced king, by the grace of the Lord, was not unnecessarily envious of the personality of Kali, because he did not intend to give him any chance to perform any sinful act. He protected his subjects from falling prey to the sinful acts of the age of Kali, and at the same time he gave full facility to the age of Kali by allowing him some particular places. At the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that even though all the nefarious activities of the personality of Kali are present, there is a great advantage in the age of Kali. One can attain salvation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thus, Maharaj Parikshit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the Lord's holy name, and thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. It is for this advantage only that great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. In the Vedas also it is said that by discourse on Lord Krishna's activities, one can get rid of all the disadvantages of the age of Kali. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that by the recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes at once arrested within one's heart. These are some of the great advantages of the age of Kali, and Maharaj Parikshit took the advantages and did not think any ill of the age of Kali, true to the Vaishnavite cult. Om Jnana-Timanandasya Jnana-Jana-Salakaya Chaksu-Niltam-Jena Tasmai Sri-Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya-Manandastam Shrapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa-Kadamayam Nadati Sapandaputam. So this purport and verse is very nice. Srila Prabhupada has expertly made this verse very clear to us. The first point is that Maharaj Parikshit is herein being compared to a bee. The bumblebee is very intelligent because the bumblebee knows how to take the most essential thing from the flower, namely the pollen or nectar. And in the same way, a swan is also very expert because a swan knows how to take the milk from the mixture of milk and water. So Paramahamsa, or the topmost swan-like person like Maharaj Parikshit, is compared to being like a bee because he knows what is the essence of life, namely devotional service to Krishna. Now, Maharaj Parikshit here is doing a very interesting thing because he's dealing with an enemy. The enemy is the personality of Kali. who is bringing in all kinds of sinful acts into this age. So we can take some interesting advice here from the behavior of Maharaj Parikshit. Notice what he has done with his enemy. He did not throw his enemy out. He did not reject his enemy. He said, yes, you can stay here because his enemies are innocent. The Kali, personality of Kali took shelter in Maharaj Parikshit. So as a good king and Vaishnava, he said, all right, you are taking shelter of me, I cannot reject you. However, you can live in my kingdom under the following conditions. So similarly, if you deal with an enemy, Prabhupada said the best thing to do with an enemy is to keep him in your house. Because then you can keep your eye on him all the time. But you have to be very intelligent and expert like Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit's expertise is, he said, you can live wherever there's gambling, wherever there's intoxication, wherever there's meat eating, wherever there's animal slaughter. And then what did Maharaj Parikshit do? He went all over the kingdom making sure there was no gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating, and no illicit sex. In other words, he was so powerful that he did not deny Kali his place. At the same time, he did not give any facility for Kali to introduce sinful activity. So this is the power of the pure Vaishnava king, Maharaj Parikshit. And at the same time, neither was he very much envious or angry with the personality of Kali. Why? Because he saw that by the presence of Kali, there was going to be some special advantage to the citizens. Namely, that since Kali would introduce all kinds of inauspiciousness, manda sumanda matayo, manda bhavya upajata, because Kali was going to introduce all kinds of difficult situations, there would be a special dispensation, a special advantage introduced in this age. What is that advantage? That in this age, the people would not get any bad reactions for their thoughts, but any good thoughts would immediately be affected. In the past yugas, even someone thought the wrong thing, they got the reaction. Now, unless you perform the sinful act, you don't get a reaction. This does not mean, however, that you can let your mind think sinfully, because every action that you perform is first of all preceded by thinking, feeling, and willing. So if you think the wrong thoughts, it is a good chance that sooner or later you're going to commit a sinful act. Therefore, Krishna says, always engage your mind in thinking of me. We have to make sure that our minds are purified. Purified mind means by purified association, by purified eating of transcendental food stuff, by purified activities. The mind will be able to easily remember Krishna. And even in the mind, if you remember Krishna, you get the benefit of serving Krishna. The perfect example is the Brahmin from South India, quoted in Nectar Devotion, who was cooking for the Lord. You remember the picture in Nectar Devotion? He put his finger, what did he put his finger in, number one? What kind of food was that? Sweet rice, right? He put his finger in the sweet rice, and then even though he was cooking the sweet rice only in his mind, he had not actually cooked it. He was just doing it in his mind in service to God. But because it is so effective, even thinking of Krishna, serving Krishna in the mind is so effective, when he put his finger in, it was burned. So, this proves that even if for some reason if you are not fit to do any service, physically, even if you think of serving Krishna, you get the benefit. However, in this Kali Yuga, you will get no reaction if there is some bad thought. So, there's another advantage of Kali Yuga, that simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, the Maha Mantra, all the advantages of the past yugas, from yoga, from yajna, and from puja, from temple worship, all of these benefits come for one who chants Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in Kali Yuga. So, Harinam Avatar, this is the Yuga Dharma, chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And as Prabhupada said, in the beginning of the Bhagavatam also, simply by recitation of the Bhagavatam, one gets advanced. These are the two main activities for us, chanting Hare Krishna and hearing and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. All of our time should be spent in these activities as far as possible. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, it's mentioned here, Krishna becomes arrested in the heart. Just like if someone is doing something they get not right, they get arrested by the government, right? And when they get handcuffs on, can they go anywhere? No. So, when you hear and chant Krishna's name and Srimad Bhagavatam, it's like putting handcuffs on Krishna. Of course, handcuffs made of flowers. If Krishna wants, he can break them, but he doesn't want. Because the flowers, handcuffs are put on by his devotees. That means when you chant Krishna's name, Krishna will not go away. It's like capturing Krishna in your heart. So, although God cannot be conquered by anyone, because he is the most powerful, he agrees to be conquered by who? His devotees. When someone has pure love for God, he becomes their servant. This religion, Krishna consciousness, is so nice. In every other religion in the world, they try to become the servant of God. And in this religion, God becomes the servant of the devotee. Because the process of Krishna consciousness is so powerful that it can make Krishna conquer. Although God, what is the name for one who is unconquerable? Ajita. Not Ajita. Someone said Ajita. No, Ajita. Ajita means the unconquerable Lord. So although God is unconquerable, he can become conquered by our love and devotion. So these are some of the nice points which are brought out in this purport, and we have covered it. Now we'll stop here and ask if there are any questions. One is that your desire is not strong enough. But because of the benefit of having thought the right thing, gradually by thinking the right way, the desire will increase to the point of action. So go on thinking in the right way, that thinking will lead to proper action. Because in this stage, thinking is effective. Maharaj Parikshit cannot be influenced by Kali. That was directly the influence of the Lord in order to glorify Maharaj Parikshit by allowing him to hear Srimad Bhagavatam perfectly. However, it was the influence of Kali on the Brahmin's son. Maharaj Parikshit cannot be influenced by Kali. His Krishna spirit devotee. Yes, therefore it was not by Kali, it was by Krishna. You're right. What you're saying is right. But the only explanation is that since he was a perfect devotee, he could not do anything wrong. Therefore, the only way he could do something wrong is if Krishna willed it. You understand? He cannot be influenced by Maya. Pure devotee can never be influenced by Maya, only by Krishna. Another question? So, everybody who did their Ekadasi breath, I'm sure is feeling transcendentally benefited. But you should always be very humble when doing austerities.
That's it.
Chanting 192 rounds. He took a vow to chant 1 billion names of Krishna. And every day he chanted 3 times 64 rounds for many, many years. And the only thing he ate was some rice cooked in a pot. And he used to chant all day and all night. And even when it rained and his house started to crumble, he simply put an umbrella up in his house. He didn't even take time to repair the house. He was living in a little hut. So if you think that you're austere because you chanted 64 rounds or whatever, and you fasted, just remember the example of Bhaktisiddhanta. That will make you very humble. You will realize that we are very insignificant compared to the previous acharyas. Just like Prabhupada said about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, if Bhaktivinoda Thakur could deliver the entire planet, practically every Vaishnava acharya, including Prabhupada, could deliver the whole planet. But Prabhupada said they are very kind and they need some service for us to do. Otherwise, individually, they're strong enough to deliver the whole planet. So we're simply very insignificant servants of these great previous acharyas. We should always see ourselves like that. And we are the servants of the previous acharyas, menial servants. They don't really need us, but it is their kindness that they keep us around, because they know how much we need them. So we're very fallen and poor, and meek and weak, and therefore, out of compassion for us, they keep us around the house to do some small service. This should be the mood and mentality of all of us on meditating on what our real position is. So we're going to chant, we can chant 1 or 2 rounds before reading the deities. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Jai Shri Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki. So, back to today's verse, remembrance of Krishna. And how can you remember Krishna? By love. How can you generate love? By chanting Hare Krishna and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So, any questions or comments? Anyone has any question? Yes, Jambavan Prabhu. Yes. Yes. That's what Prabhupada wrote in the purport.
So Krishna's expansion that we pass on.
Yeah.
I would like to know from you, why does he go the original Krishna? Why does he go up from Vrindavan? And on top of that, if like the original Krishna station, Golokabihari is the expansion of Golokabihari. I was just trying to think, but I'm not Krishna. And, if Krishna never explains himself, he stays in Golokabihari. Does that mean he still can explain?
Does that mean?
Does that mean that he still can explain himself? If Krishna does not explain himself, does that mean that he still can do his passion?
Yes. So Krishna is Abhigya Swarat. He's completely independent. He's complete whole. Isavasam idam sarvam. So when I am here, I am not at my home. But Krishna, he can be here and can be at home as well. Krishna is with all the. And the first question that you raised was Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. And why Krishna never leaves Vrindavan? Huh? Because of love. Because of love. Wherever there is love, Krishna never leaves that place. That's why when we were installing Shri Radha Golokabihari, you must have seen many Radha Krishna deities, and one difference that you see is so many times you see Radharani, she is blessing the devotees, right? But Ramakrishna Maharaj and Vasudeva Prabhu, they took up the mood of Vrindavan, and they said that whenever Radharani is offering something to Krishna, Krishna cannot go away. So that's why you see the mudra of Radharani, with one hand she is offering something. So that's why when the pujaris are dressing the deities, they should always give something to Radharani to offer to Krishna. Then Krishna will not leave. Either a basket of flowers, basket of fruits, or usually when I dress Radha Gopinath, I always, just like Krishna, Radha Gopinath has a flute. So what I do is I give another flute in Radharani's hand. So Radharani is telling Krishna, play this one. So even if Krishna wants to go away, Radharani is saying, no, play this one. If Krishna has a golden one, play the silver one. So actually the point is, your question is that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan because of the love. And even in common practice, we see commonly moral principles, we will say, in a family, when there is no love, then the family breaks. Husband and wife, there is no love, the family breaks. In a community, there is no love, the community breaks. In a country, there is no love amongst the citizens. The expression of love in a country is by the patriotic nationalism. Na? I'm a Fijian. We are not Indo-Fijians, we are Fijians. It gives that love, that belongingness. So that's the reason. So that's why one of the verses, Janam Prabhu always could have forgotten it, but the meaning is that Krishna automatically becomes pleased when there is love and cooperation. When there is love and cooperation, Krishna becomes immediately that place becomes blessed. When the sons of King Prachina Bahi, the Prachetas, they all together, 100 sons, they all together went for meditation. So before they met Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva automatically appeared. And the first statement Lord Shiva made was, I am very pleased by your cooperation. I am very pleased by your cooperation. And that's why Prabhupada's instruction is, you must all cooperate. Prabhupada said, not any one of you alone, but all of you together. जब कोई अकेले नहीं, तबे प्रभुपाद जी जीबीसी बना दिया, तबे प्रभुपाद जी गुरु वृंद बना दिया, इस्कॉन गुरु वृंद की जय. So this is the ashram where everyone works together. And when you work together, you get Prabhupada's mercy, you get Krishna's mercy, you get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and love is guaranteed. Krishna will never leave you. Even if you try to leave Krishna, Krishna will never leave you. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So please forgive me for taking 15 more minutes. And that 15 minutes was exactly what Tamal Krishna Maharaj took. I didn't take it. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare